Lakho mnganwa Yilungelo Lakho mnganwa Lakho mnganwa Yilungelo Lakho mnganwa Lakho mnganwa Yilungelo Lakho mnganwa Oma timpolompo Awungela wemnganwa
Well, it's a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to this week's episode of Yilungelo Lakho. It's Your Right. Thank you so much for joining us. We're coming to you live right here on SABC 1, and that can only mean one thing. You can also be a part of our discussion right here in studio by just calling us. In our to get ET 011 714 6918 and 6919. And of course, you can still go and check us on Facebook and on Twitter. Our Facebook page is Yilungelo Lakho, and then on Twitter, you go and check my Twitter handle as you see it on the screen. It's @SpeechNzaumbi and then #Yilungelo Lakho. And let me also take this opportunity to wish you all a happy Women's Month. Zimbogoto Zakoti. Good afternoon. Now, many of us enjoy spending time on social media platforms. We keep in touch with friends all over the world. We play games and share photos. But the same internet sites that we use, criminals are now using to pounce on victims. Yes, believe it or not, you could be their next target. But then the question is, how can you avoid such a misfortune? Today in our show, we'll look at the risks you run when you log into the internet.
Uqhagamshelwano lwamaxesha olusebenzisa i-internet seyinto exhaphekileyo neyenziwa phantse nguye wonke ubani. Nokuba ukuncokola nezihlobo, kukuphendula ii-emails okanye ukuthumela imali, ukusebenzisa i-internet seyindlela ekuthenjelwe kuyo jikelele.
I love meeting new people, communicating with new people. They inspire me and then I get motivated.
It's important for me because it's the way for me to connect with my friends and to also keep in touch with them and stuff like that.
I feel safe with it. I'm quite comfortable with it.
Ngaphezu kwamakhulu ezigidi zabantu basebenzisa i-internet. Lamaqonga awanamtsalane kubantu abahlobeneyo kuphela. Koko kulapho nabantu abafuna ukwazi lukhulu ngawe bambi ngenjongo ezigwenxa bafumaneka khona. Kukulamaqonga ke apho abantu baphulukana nemali ngobuqhetseba. Kuthiwa uMzantsi Afrika uphulukana ne-5.8 yeebhiliyoni zeerandi ngonyaka. Oku kusenziwa ngokusebenzisa iinkcukacha zabantu ezifunyenwe kwi-internet.
It's becoming a very simple crime to commit. You know, back when I did it 50 years ago, it was if it was check forgery, you had to create checks and you need printing presses and color separations and plates. You know, today through technology, you just open a laptop and you create something on your screen and you print it out. You're able to access companies all over the world.
Wayefudula iqhatha eyesiba neemali zabantu ngobuqhetseba nengoku waguquka waba yingcali ekulweni ubukrelemnqa kwi-internet. uFrank Abagnale uthi abantu abaninzi bazenzile ngokuba ngamaxhoba. Uthi nje ngokuveza iinkcukacha zakho kumaqonga afana noFacebook ungasendleleni yokuba lelinye ixhoba. Nangona ukukhutshwa izilumkiso zobungozi obukwi-internet kubonakala ngathi abantu abeva kakuhle.
A lot of it is I don't think it will happen to me or it can happen to me. And of course it happens to everybody. Fraud is in billions of dollars around the world every year. And the thing that's most scary to me about fraud, and I've been doing this for 40 years, is the people who steal these billions of dollars around the world take our money and they take that billions of dollars, they can't put it in the bank, so they take that billions of dollars and they turn it around and use that money for human trafficking, drug trafficking, child pornography. So they commit much more hideous crimes with it.
I-internet iqale njengendawo yokudibana kwabantu ngencoko phakathi kwezinye izinto kodwa ngoku sekukho ubungozi. Ngoku seyilibala apho izikrelemnqa ezirhweba ngabantu zidlalela khona. Kuba ngoku abasaxhuli bantu ezitalatweni koko badiwana namaxhoba ingakumbi abantwana kumaziko afana nala. Ukanti amaqonga afana noFacebook, Skype kunye noTwitter enza usasazo lwemifanekiso yenamanyala ipornography olasemzini kunye nokurhweba ngabantu abaselula kube lula.
Zonika ubrothers amanamba wakho, ubrothers akustalke, akufune, and then next thing you know you meet the wrong people and stuff like that. I know it's not safe, but I do enjoy chatting with them, sending each other pics and talking about the difference from that side and this side, but I do get scared sometimes because I know it's not safe. Some people can pretend to be someone else from the other country while they're here in South Africa.
Xa uphinda ufikela imbalelwano yoqulathe isithembiso esithi uzokufumana intywanga yemali. Kodwa kuqala kufuneka uhlawule imadlana ebhankini ongayaziyo. Lumka mhlawumbi ungalixhoba elilandelayo.
Well, stay safe and play vigilant. Well, thank you to our producer, Vuyisile Mdoda, for that background piece, just tone setting on its own. Ungakulangabanzi ke ngobungozi ungathi udibane nabo ngokusebenzisa i-internet, kakhulukazi social media, Facebook no Twitter, nezinye indlela zonxibelelwano zala maxesha. Maske samkele intondo zethu namhlanje. Sino Professor Basi von Solm, yena ovela phaya ku-University of Johannesburg. Sibena ke no Kalyani Pillay ovela ku-South African Banking Risk Information Center, and that is SABRIC ngamafuchane. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Perhaps, Professor, let's start this discussion by asking you a question. How big is the problem when you're looking at the issue of online fraud and cybercrime? How big is the picture?
Well, let's just quickly start off by saying what do we mean by cybercrime? Cybercrime is crime committed using the internet. There are many more technical definitions, but in principle, whenever you do and access the internet, the possibility of cybercrime is high. So cybercrime is crime committed using the internet. And it's well established at the moment, if you look at international literature, that cybercrime is about the biggest form of crime in the world. It's the biggest form of illegal making money. It's more than illegal drug trafficking. It's more than human trafficking. It is just the biggest form of crime in the world. And it's because the cyberspace, the internet, is so absolutely worldwide. It's a global thing, the internet, cyberspace. And every time you access cyberspace, you access the internet, the potential for cybercrime exists. So the program like this is very important for the viewers to understand what are the risks and how can you protect yourself if you go in there. But it's a very serious issue at the moment. It's $1 billion, multi-billion dollar expenditure at the moment in terms of cybercrime.
But then who's at risk? What's the typical profile of a victim?
The typical profile of a victim is right from the beginning, right from the school child, the primary school child, right through to the big corporations. They are all potential victims. I think what we must discuss today is how can the victims, the man in the street, the school child, the ordinary housewife, they are potential victims because the cyber criminals understand that the weakest link in the whole chain is the human link. It's not the big corporations. They've got money and skills and expertise to protect themselves cybercrime-wise. The ordinary man, the ordinary school child who doesn't understand the risks and haven't got the expertise, they are becoming more and more the potential victims. Not the potential, the victims.
The victims. All right, let's come to you, Kalyani. Basically, SABRIC is at the forefront of these anti-cyber campaigns. In the past, you came on the show and you told us that one can simply lose a lot of money by just clicking on a link or maybe accessing an email that is unfamiliar to them. Now we're talking about social media. We're involving Twitter, we're involving Facebook. Can people access my money by just using what's on my social page?
Well, they can't access your money by doing that, but what they can do is they can collect sufficient information to build a profile and to find out what your profile is. It gives them sufficient information to be able to take over your account. They can contact your bank, they can purport to be you, they can get facilities by purporting to be you, because people forget that if they don't set their privacy settings at the highest level on those social media platforms, like whether it's Facebook or whichever platform they're using, they're allowing everybody who has access to those platforms to be able to see their profiles. People put on all kinds of information. If they don't have serious and the top level security settings on that, you're allowing everybody to read what you're putting on those pages. You're allowing people to know what you're doing every day, where you're going, which restaurants you visit, when you're on holiday. You know, you're giving your animals' names, your children's names, your family names. You're giving all kinds of things.
So you're building a profile.
And just as an example, when you call, as an example, your mobile service provider to make some kind of change. Now, the criminals, when they want to do a SIM swap, they'll purport to be you so that the one-time password can come to them to enable them to complete an online transaction. If they already have all your banking logon details, which they got through various means, they want to now complete that transaction. They would need to answer certain security questions with the mobile service provider. By having all this information on a social platform, you've now empowered them to be able to answer questions, because there's very few questions, well, a set of questions
that
really.
they can ask.
Yeah, so you're really empowering the criminals. And I think the important thing that we're saying to bank clients all the time is there's nothing wrong with social media. It's a great way to communicate. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. But just make sure that you take all the precautions by making sure your privacy settings are at the highest. Also, don't put on information on there that's going to compromise you. I mean, in your electronic communications, the Prof spoke about issues around the internet and how you can be compromised there. But beyond that, also what we're finding is that people are communicating through email a lot as well.
Right.
We're saying don't ever, it's a
Don't
not
communicate through
negotiable, no. Do not put on an email your banking information. Like, don't put on an email your card number, your CVV number, your expiry date. Don't email it to anybody.
But then, Kalyani,
Yes.
let's talk about when you see something, you're on the internet, you see a bag or you see a pair of shoes, when you want, or maybe booking a flight, they always request that you give them your card number.
Absolutely.
How safe is that information then? What are the limits of trusting somebody who's sitting on the other side?
Doing an electronic transaction is no problem. That's how people are transacting these days. It's a
But
great
aren't you
way.
giving out that
But
information?
you're not emailing it. What you've done is that you've gone onto a website. You've gone onto a website where you want to do a transaction. Now, what we say to people there is you need to ensure, and the onus is on the person, to make sure that you're utilizing a safe and authentic site when you're doing that transaction. So you need to be sure that when you want to buy that shoe or that bag or that air ticket, that the site that you're actually dealing with is an authentic one. So what we advise people to do is to make sure that you look out for certain things like the locked sign, or even if you want to, you hover your cursor on the URL on the top and try and see, it'll come up. Instead of HTTP, it should be HTTPS, which will actually tell you that that's a secure site. So
so it should be HTTPS.
Especially when you're starting to put on your payment details onto the thing, it'll normally refer you to that secure page where you're going to be putting in your details. So again, the differentiation is you're not doing this via an email. You're actually on a site that's now secure, and you're doing a transaction where you put in your card details, your CVV number. So these are the things that you need to be mindful of. Don't just email, because one of the things that's also important is when people hack into your email account, you need to be very mindful of all the information that's in your emails.
Still going to get to
Yes,
that, the email.
sure.
Let's come to you, Professor. What kind of information can people use, especially because now we're involving Facebook and Twitter? Your identity, definitely want people to know who you are. You want to catch up with people you went to school with. But then what kind of information can these I don't want to call them criminals, but then...
They are.
All right, can these cyber criminals then use to
Let me just come back to something that we've just heard about this. A simple thing that the user can do. For example, just choosing your password. Many people choose a password, the name of their dog. Now, as we've heard, you can get the name of their dog on the Facebook. So don't choose your password as the name of your dog. Choose a password which is not directly related to you.
People are going to know about the name of my dog. How will people find that?
They find it on Facebook. You tell them that.
Okay.
You say, I've got a new dog. Here's a picture of my dog and his name is Quiz.
Bobby.
Or whatever it is. Now you choose the same dog's name as your passport because it's easy to remember. So it's not rocket science. You can really go a long way to protect yourself by just thinking astute about what you're doing. Now, that's the first thing. You said, what types of information can people get? Of course, they can get whatever they want. Remember, for example, if you take a photograph with most of our smartphones today, and you haven't made the setting to switch off the geopositioning system, the coordinates of that photograph is posted with the photograph on your Facebook profile. Now, everybody can see...
Wait, bro. What are you saying? Are you saying when I take a picture, I snap a selfie, I'm in Durban, the beachfront, when I post that, even if I don't tell people where I am, they can trace my whereabouts using that,
Let's
that
take
photo?
an example. You buy a new TV. Nobody can see where the TV is, but you take a photograph and post it. You forget about switching off the positioning. Your camera will automatically take your position and put it on the photo. And anybody now says, oh, here's your new television set. Oh, it's located at that specific geo-positioning. Oh, they go in and they steal it. So you're actually telling them where your new TV set is and where they can go and steal it. And that's
by just looking at the photo.
By just investigating the photo.
Let's hold it right there. I get my way to the photo you on Facebook, it can actually cost you a fortune. But coming back from the break, we'll be talking about human trafficking, abduction, some of the issues that people face just by putting information on Facebook. When we are checking out the restaurant, little do you know that they can actually follow you. And like that. All right, I guess konke lokho ngemukela ukhumbule kuba nawe ungathabatha inxaxheba kule ngxoxo yethu namhlanje ngosala unqaba pha kunombolo yethu, and that is 011 714 6918 and 6919. And of course, we're still taking your emails to consumer@sabc.co.za, or rather just go and find us on Facebook and on Twitter. I told you that you can go and check our Facebook page, that is Yilungelo Lakho. Just go and drop your message there on social media as we are talking about social media. Isn't that quite interesting? Now, before the break, Prof, you're still telling me about this bizarre idea of people using your picture, just a normal picture, tracing your whereabouts, tracing the time, and so forth. How does that happen?
Well, it's not, you can't see it. It doesn't actually appear on the photograph. But the technical guy, the criminal, will be able to find it. It's there. But another issue, which I think we can really talk about, is the sophistication nowadays of just photo or face recognition algorithms. I can now, through your 1,000 photographs on your side, I can say, go and select every photograph where Johnny appears and tell me where he was when he appeared in that photograph. And that's scary, because now you don't know when a photograph of yourself where you were part of it was posted on Facebook. But now somebody else can go and see and actually select your presence at that specific event.
I'm actually freaked out right now because I've got quite a lot of pictures on my Facebook. Look, but then how can people protect themselves?
It has advantages and disadvantages. Yeah. I mean, the advantages are that it will help law enforcement, certainly from an investigative part of view, in terms of trying to track and find people. But of course, it has the disadvantages because the criminals, those of course who have the techniques and the sophistication and the skills to be able to utilize that information for their own criminal purposes, you know. So certainly...
if you check in, for an example, I check in and I say at 6 p.m. I'll be doing this and this at this hotel. I'm giving, before checking in, well, I take a picture. I'm here at the studio, I take a picture, I tell people that, well, I'm done with the show, 6 p.m. I'll be in Santon doing this and this. I'm actually giving people leverage, or I'm compromising my security to a point that I can get there and people will be waiting to take me.
I think you're quite right, and I think that's a very important point. You must realize that information that you share, which as far as I'm concerned is irrelevant, can put your situation in danger. You can tell, for example, if you say, we're all going to the party on Friday evening at Johnny's house, then already you're sharing information about your specific position at that date. So now somebody else who wants to get to you will know you'll be going there. And you, if you say, fine, the party is now nearly finished, it's 11:30 at night, and we're going to leave in half an hour, and you post that on your Facebook profile because you want your friends, I don't know why, but you want to see it, then somebody outside might say, aha, just half an hour, and then the party is finished, and the guy or this girl is going home. My time's come.
But then how do I protect myself, Kalyani?
Protecting yourself is, I think, people that are using these platforms, and I think a lot of education needs to be done, not just with older people or young, but across the board. I mean, schools need to be teaching kids this as well, because it's the issue around setting the privacy setting, also about what kind of information you should be publishing. We talk about cybercrime. We look, from our side, from the banking perspective, we look at issues, and I'm sure most businesses as well, we separate it. We look at issues around cybersecurity, and we look at issues around cybercrime and what we need to deal with. Cybersecurity, so that we ensure that the criminals don't come in and make sure all the vulnerabilities are dealt with. On the cybercrime side, we try to educate the public so that they don't fall victim to these kind of things. But I think people need to just start being awake and realize that they carry so much of risk. You and I, as ordinary people, carry so much of risk with us that we need to now just not be, just irresponsible in terms of how we say things and what we do. People
to
need
even mention the kind of bank that you use. I mean, you go on social media and you vent and you say, da-da-da-da bank, I'm so upset with them, they're withholding my funds.
Absolutely,
can they use that also?
Absolutely, because from a banking compromise perspective, we say to people all the time, antivirus, you've got to use not just on your computer, but on your mobile as well.
But remember also, important thing is that bad comment you've made about the bank or your employer, whatever it is, you can't delete it. The moment it's in cyberspace, it is in cyberspace and it can never be deleted. So 5 years later, when you apply at that company for a job, they'll come back and say, oh, remember 5 years back, and they're doing it.
Scenes of the
They
past.
are actually doing that.
Wow. Well, we are spelling our pick higher. The number to dial is 011-714-6918 and 6919. And Matt, it's quite interesting because really you get carried on social media. You go back on Facebook, and the bank that you're using. We don't know how difficult or the ditch that we're throwing ourselves into. Please make sure that you call us. The studio line is 011-714-6918 and 6919. Please go on Facebook as well and tell us what you think. Maybe your experience. I'm actually quite interested, Prof, because I know that a lot of people have lost jobs sometimes, especially those in the banking sector. I mean, I hear that a lot of recruitment agencies now actually go and they check your profile. They check your history, what you posted 5-6 years ago. Even if you delete it on the profile, it's not deleted, it's stored somewhere. How does that happen, though?
Well, let's for example, I made a bad comment about you. I don't like you. Okay, for some reason. We can talk about that after lunch. But I don't like you. Now I post on my Facebook, I don't like you. But I've got 1,000 followers. So it goes to 1,000 people. Every one of those 1,000 followers has got another 1,000 followers. So suddenly my comment has gone to 1,000 people and another 1,000 people. You haven't got a clue where that comment is actually in cyberspace. So you can't delete it. It is impossible because you don't know where it is. And that's the big risk you must always think
So before
twice.
you post something, ask yourself, if I remove this information, where does it go? Is that
You
a
can't
question we
remove
should be
it.
asking ourselves?
You can't remove it.
You should, before you post something, think about what you
That's
want to
that's
post.
the core.
But then the question comes into hacking. I know of a lot of people, even currently right now on Facebook, I mean, you get tagged on these pornography videos, but then the owner is not aware. When you quickly remove that, won't that information then reflect as you, as the user, that you posted that information out there for people to see?
What do you mean?
Hacking, hackers post pornography videos on your behalf without you knowing.
Well, that if there's an investigation done, they'll be able to track and trace. There should be an audit trail if somebody's gone in. You'll obviously have to get an expert to go in and do all those investigations. So that's possible to be able to find out exactly what happened. There are experts that can find that out.
But you must also remember that if I can hack your Facebook profile, for example, and it's not difficult. If you can hire a hacker on the internet, and if I give him your Facebook name, he will give me your Facebook login details for $100 or $50. That's a fact. Now I become you. I can go in there, I can start posting comments as if I am you. I've stolen then people think it's you that's posting these bad comments. But it's not you. Somebody has taken over your identity.
You see exactly that around banking, because if somebody's hacked into your email account and they write on your behalf to your bank manager, your account manager, and they say, can you please transfer 350,000 Rand from my home loan facility into my current account because I want to do whatever. Your account manager sees an email coming from you. That's an email address that's on the system that's registered under yours. They're getting an instruction coming from that email. They go ahead and do it. So you have to be absolutely mindful. One of the ways, how do you protect yourself? You have got to look at your sent items every time you log on to your email account. Every time you log on, you've got to look at your email account. It's the things that we have to do differently to protect ourselves.
Now, let's talk about recruitment agencies. We know that unemployment is quite a big issue in our country. People are desperate and looking for jobs. Now, you register with a recruitment agency, but then before they shortlist you, I hear that now there's this new policy that a lot of agencies and companies are adopting, which is to go and to look for your history. Now, getting to what I know that you said life is unfair. Do you really think it's fair? I was 19 or I was 17. I said something stupid about the president. 6 years down the line, I'm a qualified professional. Now I am applying for a job to work with the president. How is that going to? How is that a measure of my intelligence, or rather?
Now we're getting into the psychology issue.
Yes,
I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm a technical guy. I can't answer the question, but I think it is happening. And you must just imagine yourself. You're the personnel agent. You want to do the best for the client that hired you to get somebody out there. Now you say, okay, let's ignore this comment that the guy made. And you say, fine, you shortlist him and he gets appointed.
Trevor Noah
and
is an
tomorrow
example.
after that, the day after that, the employer, which you've now advised this guy, finds out about this. Then he says, but you're a bad personnel agency.
Even
you
if it
didn't
was
check
5
the
years
guy's
ago.
background.
Yeah, but I suppose it's the company that has
It's the
to make
company
a
also.
call on whether it's important or not and how it impacts on the job. That,
So you can't, you're saying basically it's from company to company. It's a policy that could be adopted by any company. Is it legal though?
It's their prerogative. They're deciding who they want and what kind of character and personality and attributes they need.
But it's the same thing. Forget about the internet. Suppose you apply for the job and you give 5 references. And I go to the 5 people and they write something about me, which I did when I was in primary school. The same thing. Is it fair?
Is it fair?
Life is not fair.
All right. Do you think it's fair right at home? Please make sure that you let us know. The number is 011 714 6918 and 6919. We're taking your calls right in studio. We're talking cybercrime, all the crimes that go untold or unseen because of what you post on Facebook. Please make sure that you join us after the break. Our conversation will continue after this. Well, welcome back. You're still joining us right here on SABC One for sure. You're watching Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. We're talking crimes committed on social media today. Yes, perhaps you go and you open an account on social media. You would never think that people can actually go and use the information that's there and use it against you. Abduction could be the cause. They can go and access your bank accounts and all those things. And actually quite frightening. The thought of accepting a lot of people. I mean, we have followers and so forth. And you just don't know the other person on the other side, what they're doing, what they're thinking, and what they're doing with your picture. So basically, those are the issues we're touching based on today on the show. Well, I told you before that you should send me all those messages on Facebook. I've got Shadrach Mboweni, who says people don't search. There's more security features on Facebook that people don't care about. I'm always careful of what I say online because I don't know whom I'm talking to on the other side. And then you've got Sive Mazizini, whoever, bagqiba kundibetha ngoku imali engange-200 kuthiwa xa ndibuza ndine-debit order yento yako-digital whatever kodwa andizange ndithathe kwanto kubo qha khona into eyayingathi bazawundipha ipackage ethile bathi mandifake bank details zam kanti bafuna ukundibetha. Ndicebisa abantu ukuba mabangafaki banking details zabo kwizinto za-online, especially into engazuba nomkhondo ekuhambeni kwethuba. Mna ndifunde isifundo sokuba soze ndiphinde ndifake kwa-banking details zam kwinto ya-online nokuba yintoni na. That is Sive Mazizini Kweva. Well, remember that you can call us right in studio. It's 011 714 6918 and 6919. We actually want to hear your stories. We really want to hear your stories. People harp on social medias. I mean, we live for social media. Now we're being told that it can actually cost us a great deal. What do you think of that? 011 714 6918 and 6919. Now, before the break, you were telling me, okay, the callers basically, especially the second one, is telling us about these, what you spoke about earlier on, Kalyani, that you don't have to put your banking details out there, especially via email. Now, also a couple of days ago, I think 2 days ago, I had somebody who was calling me early hours of the morning around 7, and they said, well, you've been approved for this and this, we're going to send your card, Mr. So-and-so, and I said, did I apply for that? They said, no, you don't have to apply. I said, no. And he started being emotional because I was interrogating him. I mean, I didn't want to give him my details. He wanted to verify my address, the date of birth and what. I said, no, but I didn't apply for any card. He said, no, it will give you discounts and whatnot. But then a lot of people, because you're in a desperate position, we love bargains. We love discounts and all those things. So how do you then separate or rather differentiate between somebody who's out to dupe you and somebody who's actually genuine, coming from a good source?
Well, I think the important thing is that we need to know that it's social engineering. The criminals will always play on your emotions to get you to react in a particular way. So they'll, all these offers for all kinds of things is to play on your emotion, to get you to respond, to get you excited about things. For us, the message that the bank wants to send out to their clients, simple things to say, irrespective of what, all not negotiables. Don't give your banking log-on details to anybody, whether you receive a phone call, whether you receive an email, whether you get some kind of an SMS, don't give your bank log-on details, don't give your PIN numbers, don't give your passwords, don't give any of that information to anybody, even if they tell you that they're from a bank, because the bank won't ask you for it. Even if you, if you're standing at an ATM and a person wearing a uniform or some kind of clothes that depict that they're from the bank or appear to be from the bank, don't even give it to them. Because they don't need to have it. Nobody needs
to have that
it.
information.
I think the simple rule is nobody needs that information other than you. Nobody needs it.
But let's come back to your question. How can you protect yourself?
Rather, before I get to that, Prof, let's just quickly take Annalisa, who's calling us from BC,
good.
and hear what she has to say. Annalisa, welcome to Yilungelo Lakho.
Yes, hello, Putunjani. I think this thing should be stopped because I'm one of the victims, one of the people that were imali through mobile banking, whereby I received a strange phone call. She's calling from a certain network, which is Vodacom, who verify my details regarding what you call? Rika status. And then after that, Rika status, that was it. The following day, it was about to be my payday the following day. The following day, network, I didn't have the network on my SIM card. Then, okay, it was fine. Then I went to my bank, rushing to go and do my things. My money has been transferred to another person.
Wow.
Of which it was being fraud. So up until today, they never had any directions.
So you lost imali yakho ngolo hlobo?
So I lost my salary because the whole salary was being transferred to somebody else's account.
Wow. Thank you so much, Annalisa, for sharing that story. Kalyani, this has to be a field.
No,
she lost all her salary.
You see, the thing is that she gave the information. She didn't realize she was giving it to a criminal. She believed that the person who purported to be from a mobile service provider asking her for RICA information. They never do that. The mobile service providers will never make a call for you asking you to verify yourself for RICA purposes. The bank will never call you to verify yourself for FICA purposes. Those are the messages.
I think this point is so important. If somebody knocks on your door and a guy stands in front of you saying, "Can I please have your bank information?" He won't give it to him. But if he asks you over the internet, you will give it to him.
But then the banks call sometimes.
They do.
No, the banks will never call you.
They will never.
They will never call you.
That's a
fact. So are you saying the calls have been receiving from the banks?
They're not. You see, if the bank need, I think what's very important, the listeners need to know this. If the bank needs you for any reason whatsoever, if they need you, and they do from time to time, to verify your information for FICA purposes, because it has to be done. FICA is not done once off. It's got to be done and updated all the time as and when there's a need. They will send you a communication asking you to come into the bank. They will never ask you to post, fax, email, or provide over the phone any information. They'll ask you to come in. You may get an email telling you to come in, or you may get a letter telling you to come in. They won't ask you to give them the information. That's where the mistake is.
Then the bank says, you committed yourself.
So they can't help you.
They can't help you. And I think, again, let's just wrap this up very simple. Do not react on unsolicited emails. Do not react on unsolicited telephone calls. Just get them off your back as soon as possible. Because if it is a serious issue, if it's really the bank or if it's really your medical fund, whatever it is, they will come back to you in some other way. Do not fall for that. But let me give you another example, and I think it's very important that the parents out there also realize this. I want to make 2 points here. The one is, if you give your child, your 8-year-old, 9-year-old, or 10-year-old, a smartphone, and you allow that child to surf the internet without giving advice, you are the most irresponsible parent that can be.
But then the question is, do these parents know these devices?
That's no excuse. You will not drop your 10-year-old at 12 o'clock in the middle of Johannesburg and say, okay, go and enjoy yourself. You're a responsible parent. But you let the child drive, surf the internet, the Wild West out there, and you don't worry. You must know that. That's part of your responsibility.
Do you think then the best treatment into this is that as a parent you confiscate your child's cell phone when they go to their bedroom? Is that what you would suggest? I do to my teenager who's 14.
Many parents, let me give you another example of, and I don't want to get gruesome, but there are so many examples of teenagers that committed suicide because they were cyber-stalked, they provided personal information, nude photographs to the friend, which they thought was their only friend, and it went viral, and they committed suicide. The other day, a young guy got an email, so-called from the FBI, saying, oh, we looked and we saw that you looked at pornographic sites. You must pay a fine of $100 into this account. The guy committed suicide because he got such a fright. He was such a fright. Don't get upset. Don't react to unsolicited things. Don't worry if you get an email like that. It is a scam. Rather ignore it immediately.
Ignore it immediately. Well, that's what the prof is saying. Well, he's an expert and I'm not. The number is 01171469118 and 6919. Right now we have to take Zugisa, who's calling us from Umtata again. Hello, Zugisa. Welcome to the show.
Yes, Molobuti.
What?
Like I can say I was a victim.
How?
Like in the end, my email account was hacked in a way. How did I know about this? I received emails from all my contacts. I mean, all the contacts I have in my email account. The complainer, in fact, they were not complaining, but trying to check in the email I'm in the Philippines. And I'm stranded, and I need money. My luggage in the Philippines in this hotel, and I don't have money to pay the bill for the hotel. And some of these people were concerned. Yes, I am a traveling person. Like recently, I went to the UK, and some people were concerned because I am a traveling person, and they wanted to know if this is true because I never said anything about going to the Philippines. And I worried about the people, my friends over there, like in the UK. So the only thing I did...
Did they transfer money to the account?
Yeah, that's what I tried to check because some of them, one of my friends responded to this person, email address, account details, Western Union Bank or whatever. But what I can say is, in the net layer, they tried to get into my bank accounts as well. But the bank accounts insist on e-codes that farmers but we have the show we have to get through. And I got penetrate. So I think it all started by email account. I got Indo and upgrade security settings and all. And I did that and them do not wrong.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Zugisa. That's Zugisa who's calling us from Umtata. And you know what's interesting is that this is the story you told me before we went on air. It's the same story. Somebody you're stuck in the Philippines.
Microsoft issue, Microsoft phoning you. It's the same scam, and people just keep falling for it.
My goodness.
It's frightful because, with the Microsoft one, the people are called, the perpetrators purport to be employees of Microsoft, ask you to download patches to protect you from a vulnerability. But in fact, what they're doing is they're getting you to download malware and spyware onto your computer. So it enables them to collect and to see what's happening and collect your banking information so that they now are in possession of what they need to do that.
Let me add on to that because the way that can happen, and the viewers out there must realize that. We've all got smartphones. We all download apps. And we go to app stores which are, selling this very nice app which can give me this nice ringtone.
How to vanish your ringtone.
I download it, but that app is infected with, let's say, something called a keylogger, which now sits on your smartphone, and every key you press sends it back to the crime.
Back to the... Oh, wow. All right, well, the number is 01171469118 and 6919. We're still taking your calls and also your Facebook messages. Just go to our Facebook page and drop those messages. After the break, we'll continue. Well, welcome back. We're still continuing with our discussion right here on SABC One. In case maybe you're wondering, yes, you're on the right channel. You're watching Yilungelo Lakho, and today we're talking cybercrime and everything that you put out there on social media, how it can cost you, how it can compromise your security as well. Well, right now we're joined by, actually we're going to check a video that was done by Frank Abagnale. He is an anti-cyber fraud expert. Let's have a look at it.
I always tell people to do only what I do myself, and that is that first of all, I do shred. I use a shredder to get rid of things I just don't throw away, like telephone bills and utility bills and credit card bills, because there's so much personal information on those things. If you're going to use social media like Facebook, you never want to state on Facebook where you were born and your date of birth, because you're basically giving someone about 98% of the information they need to steal your identity. You don't want to use a straight-on photograph of yourself, because today there's a lot of recognition software that's able to distinguish that that's you and identify you to that Facebook page.
Quite interesting what he says. It actually echoes some of the sentiments that you shared earlier on the show, Prof.
Sure, we're also experts.
Of course. But then getting to what we said earlier on about protecting yourself, especially about the information that you put out there, not knowing that you're compromising your own security. How can then I protect myself, especially within the confines of social media, Facebook to be precise?
That's a very good question, and I think what's changing in our situation is the concept of privacy is changing. And I think we must realize what privacy means. And privacy differs from person to person. But privacy means, what can I give to you that's nice for our relationship, and what don't I have to give to you? But people are going overboard. They want to give everything that they've got. They want to say what they had for breakfast. Okay, some people think it's important, but it can be used against you. Be prudent. Think about what you're doing, because you are the only guy that can the best protect yourself by not sharing information. Unnecessary.
What do you think? What importance can you take from what Frank just said on that video?
You know, I think the fact of the matter is that people need to really be mindful, like Prof is even saying, about what they put on Facebook. Because the criminals know how people are behaving these days. They know that the way in which people are communicating across the globe has changed. And they know where they can collect information. And they're doing this every minute of the day, 24/7, across the globe. They're not sleeping because they're working across time zones. The network is not just in one country, in one little town, in one little city. It's across the globe. Cyber criminals are faceless, they're borderless, they operate and they have networks all over. They will stop at nothing. A lot of them are extremely smart. They don't do it for the money. They do it for the love of being able to hack, to compromise security. And of course, they are one of the people in the whole web and pass on the information to other people who actually use it for the purposes of robbing others.
All right. Well, let's take another caller. We've got Joy, who's calling us from Alberton. Joy, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon to you.
Hi, Joy.
I would like to know, many times, more than 3-5 times, my son and my 3 kids ask me for my banking details, not giving my PIN. I mean, for them to pay money into my bank, but I give the bank my name and everything, except my PIN. And is that also not safe?
Do you want to take on that one, Killian?
If you're giving somebody your bank details for them to pay into your account, that's not a problem. Because, I mean, there will be times when somebody needs to pay money into your account. That's fine. But you're not giving your PIN number, you're not giving your bank log-on details that will allow somebody to log on to your bank account. You're giving them your name, your bank account number, end of story, your branch number. That's okay. Yeah.
So Joy can't fall for victim by just giving out her name and bank details.
You can't become a victim, but you're sharing very important information. Suddenly your bank account is known. And I personally won't do that. I will ask that I phone me back. I'll rather exchange that information by a telephone.
Okay, but then
but
Joy's still on the line, by the way, so we can engage with her.
I think the important thing is, you're not going to give it out to just any old person. You're obviously giving it out to somebody who you know, who you're transacting with for a particular reason. So if there's somebody who you've either sold something to, or you trust, or you are expecting money from them, you would then give it to that person, but you wouldn't just give it to any person for the sake of giving your bank account details to anyone.
All right,
Because
Joy?
I worked in the bank before, but now I did some day gave a number to somebody, and in a second, the bank phoned me and asked me if I could give my PIN out to somebody. Immediately, they picked it up.
Wow. Okay. Did you
Okay,
give out your PIN though, Joy?
Yeah, I gave it to phone, and I spit out, but it was, and immediately the phoned me. They said, did you do it? I said, yes. So never do it. The bank won't give you a PIN
You must never ever give out your PIN. You must never ever give out your PIN. Okay, thank you so much, Joy. That was Joy calling us from Alberton. I just wonder how many people fall for such calls. Like I said, that it's early in the morning, somebody's offering you this great special or rather discount on a product. Then, I mean, you don't really have time to think through these things.
But you should be suspicious of these kind of things.
It's too good to be true. It's too good to be true.
Yes, then it's not. It's definitely not a problem. You know, you always question. I think people need to understand that you're really not going to get anything for nothing. Just stop being over emotional about things, because you're going to lose money. Nobody will give you anything for nothing.
The point that you made earlier on is very important too, in terms of getting our kids prepared for.
Okay, I think after the break we need to get to that. Just to prepare our kids, especially when we're buying them, there's iPhones and all these fancy phones. You know, a 4-year-old will carry a phone that is worth 20,000 rands. But then the question is, do we know what's actually on those phones? 011 714 6918 and 6919. Your last chance to call us right in studio and tell us what you think of our topic, or rather share your experience like Joy and other callers have done. After the break, we'll continue. Well, welcome back. We've closed our lines, unfortunately, so maybe if you wanted to call us, you can go and send us an email, or rather go to our Facebook. We can attend later on, not during the show. Now, let's get to the issue that we didn't touch on earlier on, which is human trafficking and people being abducted based on what they post on Facebook. What advice could you give to them? What should I not post that would compromise my security in that regard?
It comes back to our whole discussion for the last hour is don't post personal things, because everything you post will help to make you a more probable victim.
What's personal then on Facebook? I want to share pieces of my life with people whom I'm engaging with. Then you are saying I shouldn't post.
And other people would like to see those things that you are posting because they want to misuse it for something else. So you must think twice. You know, it's a very fine line, this. How much do I want to share with my friends? Because it's not only my friends that's going to see it. How can people misuse what I'm putting on there? And that balance everybody must make for himself. The more you put out there, the bigger your risk. The less out there, the worse for yourself, social-wise. Somewhere is a line. And that line, everybody must decide on. Otherwise, you're going to become a victim.
Don't let your friends of friends see information. Let your friends only see information.
More especially in public.
Put the settings such that only your friends see things.
And then the public, if perhaps, let's say you've reached your limit, you've exceeded 5,000 rands, that's 5,000 the number of people who can follow you or whom you can add, then you decide to open your account so that people can see what you post.
Then you take
so you have to bear the consequences.
You putting yourself at risk.
Okay. But another question, if you've got 5,000 friends,
do you really
let me give you a book, you're already so deep in trouble, because maybe 10 of those are really friends.
So they're shadows. Because really sometimes you get a Facebook request from somebody who's in Indonesia.
Who's a friend.
Then the question is, how did you find me?
He's a friend because he wants to get your information.
But
he's the criminal friend.
People have a thing about feeling great because they have more friends. Why do you need to do that?
All right, guys, let's just quickly 1 minute. We're left with 1 minute. What are your closing remarks? What can you say to people who are watching this program and who really want to take control of their social accounts?
I will finish off by saying cybersecurity is not a technical issue. It's a human issue. We must talk about a culture of cybersecurity. Culture meaning, when I lock my door, it's because it is inherent in me. The same type of risk management that I do when I leave my house, when I go to bed at night, I must act when I surf on the cyberspace.
All right, let's get to you, Colleen.
I think absolutely important. Don't give your
details.
bank details to anybody. Make sure you have antivirus on your computers, on all your smart devices, your mobile phone.
And don't accept people who are in
well.
India who don't know you.
Don't anybody at all. Yes,
all right, guys, because of
absolutely.
time, thank you so much for joining us. I think it was such a pleasure. I've learned so much. I think after this, I'll have to go home and rethink my sexual activities, social activities, rather. We have unfortunately come to an end of our discussion today. Make sure that you do not miss our repeats Mondays at 12 p.m. right here on SABC1. And just go and drop us your emails at consumer@sabc.co.za. Perhaps you'd like us to cover an issue, or perhaps you want to inquire about something that we've covered right here on the show. Please make sure that you go and send us those emails. Well, from me and the rest of the Yilungelo Lakho family, the team, it's always a pleasure. It's goodbye and God bless.